Jess and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about how I got a job at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and how you guys can too. In November of 2014, I was already working at Disney World, and that will be a whole separate other video that I'll talk about that job. So I was working at Disney and I wasn't getting enough hours at my job, and I was like, I need to pay rent. I was freaking out, so kind of on a whim, I decided to look on the Universal website. Under the Universal Careers, it's pretty easy to find if you search it into Google. Just type in Universal Careers, you should get to the site. I went on there and I was like, you know what, I think merchandise would be good for me because I wanted something that was inside, or mostly inside, and I wanted something that would be fun, and I really wanted to work in Harry Potter. And when you apply to Universal, you can apply to merchandise, or you can apply to attractions, custodial, or food, or something like that. But I really wanted to do merchandise because I thought it would just kind of be easy, and in a way I was right. I went on the website and it said that they were looking for merchandise people, and I was like, oh my god, okay. I went and I submitted my application. Didn't know if I would hear back anything. Jobs are weird like that. If you've ever applied to a job, you can apply and then you never hear back. Barnes & Noble, I'm talking to you. So I sent in my application, and the next day, like literally the next day, I got an email, hey, we'd like to schedule an interview. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, sure, let's go. And so I scheduled the interview for like the next closest day. I applied on a Saturday night, I remember. It was like going into the Sunday, and then I got the email, I think the Sunday, and then I had my interview like the Tuesday. Like it was all really fast. Or I think the interview was a Monday. Oh, I don't know. I went in for an interview anyways. I went in just kind of like a regular interview. I already talked about this in my last video, but if you guys want to know, I ended up talking about Harry Potter because they're like, do you have any interest in working in Harry Potter? And I was like, well, yeah, I love Harry Potter. That'd be fantastic. I didn't really know anything else about Universal. So like, I was like, please send me to Harry Potter because I don't know what Simpsons is. I don't know. Like, do you have any interest in Harry Potter? And I was like, yes, I do. And so we went through the trivia test thing that I told you guys about in my previous video. Go check it out. It's gonna be linked anyways. And basically they just asked me some questions. They were like, who is killed by the basilisk? Who are the three friends? Like, who are the main people? I think they asked me the 4 houses. Fairly simple questions. What is Sirius Black? He's an animagus. Things like that. And so they're like, well, we can definitely tell that you know a lot about Harry Potter. And I was like, thanks. Thank you. So they're like, we would like to invite you for a second interview. And the second interview happened to be later that day. I had my morning interview like at 10 o'clock-ish, and then the second interview was scheduled, it was like 2-ish. They were like, can you come in? And I was like, you know, I'm not positive because I was applying to SeaWorld at the time as well. And I had an interview for SeaWorld later that day. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to come a different day. They're like, that's totally fine, whatever. I sat in my car and I was like, I can't turn this down. So I called SeaWorld and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna reschedule. And they're like, okay. And then I went to my second Universal interview. So I had an interview with one of the merchandise managers over in Hogsmeade, which is where they were thinking about putting me. I didn't know until I saw him while I was working, and I'm like, oh, you work here? And he's like, yeah, I'm my manager. I'm like, oh, great, okay. It was super nice, and we kind of talked more about the merchandise side of things as well as like more Harry Potter things. And they ended up being like, well, we do have a position open as a stalker. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, merchandise stalker. So like you'd be getting stuff out from the trucks and then bringing it in. And I was like, oh, I thought it was for like a merchandise like associate, like registers and like fixing wands and stuff. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, oh, would you be interested in the stalker position? And I was like, honestly, not really. And looking back on it now, I probably still would have taken the stalker position, but I think then I was being very specific about things that I wanted because I did have a couple different job opportunities available to me. So I was like, honestly, not really. And he's like, okay, that's fine. And so he's like, let me just check something real quick. I think he walked away to do this, and then he came back and he's like, okay, so we have a position open as a sales associate merchandise in Hogsmeade at Dervish and Bangs. And I was like, sign me up, I'm in, let's go. So everything was totally great, and I got a job, and then he like gave me a piece of paper with all my info on it, and then I went, I believe it was the same day, I think it was right after the interview, I went and had my picture taken for my ID. I had like my first days of orientation scheduled, which were just so awesome. And it was really great. I was hired as a part-time associate, so that means that I had to give 3 days of availability, saying that yes, I can work these days, schedule me these days, and I will be here. I won't call out most of the time. And so so I gave this to them and they're like, great, fantastic. At Universal, you can either do part-time, full-time, or seasonal. I was part-time for about a year and then I switched down to seasonal, and seasonal is basically you're required to work a season, and it depends on who, like where you're being hired, who's doing it, your relationship with them, and there's a couple different factors to it. But the season that I asked for, because I was going to school and I'm like, look, I really would like to keep my job, but I have to go seasonal because I can't work this often. Basically, I would only need to work a season, and a season can be full summer season. It can be the 2 weeks around Christmas and New Year's. It can be the Mardi Gras like time, as well as like Halloween Horror Nights where you would work late. So just a bunch of different like options. And so I put my seasons for a couple different things, but I ended up changing them around. That was a really good option for me because I was going to school. So if you guys are wanting to work at Harry Potter World and you are local to Orlando and you want to be seasonal, that's great. If you're not local to Orlando, they also allow that. In my experience, it starts better if you worked there like part-time or full-time before you switch down to seasonal, just because you know the people better and it works better. I don't know how to explain it. I know a couple people who actually don't live in Florida, and one of my friends goes to school like up north, and she comes down during her break times, during like winter break as well as summer break, and she works, and it's totally fine and you're allowed to do that. So if you're not local, that is totally an option for you. If you are local, full-time is an option, although it's a little bit difficult to get. Not gonna lie, because most people want to work full-time. They also offer part-time options, which is great, and which is what I took when I first started. And so there's a couple different ways to work at Universal, which is really, really nice and great if you've got a busy schedule or if you don't live local. Just all around great. From the time that I applied online to the first orientation day that I had, it was a week. I got hired that quickly. It was like that. Everything was great. I was like, oh my god, I'm working in Harry Potter World. This is like a dream come true. What? Because I was such a big Harry Potter fan forever. My like 15th birthday was a trip to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and I was wearing like Harry Potter glasses and a Gryffindor scarf, and it was just a great time. And then I got to come back and work there, which is just really, really awesome. First 2 days of orientation, there was like 2 or 3 days of orientation, and then a couple days of merchandise training, and then like actual training. So there was quite a few like days before I could like start working, and orientation was really, really awesome. I remember during, I think my first day of orientation, we were just going through the different like places of Universal, just like talking about it. And so we got to like the Harry Potter area, and they were really excited about it because it was fairly new for them. Diagon had only opened up like a year previous, so everything was still really new. And they're like, all right, so we're gonna do a trivia thing. And I was like, oh god. And we got to try on our costumes, and I was really excited. So everyone knew that I was really excited to work in Harry Potter. And so we got to like this trivia thing, and I didn't volunteer to do it. Someone next to me was like, she wants to do it. I'm like, oh no, which meant that I had to stand up and do it. We got up there and they're like, all right, so what we're gonna do, and it was me and then like 2 other people. One was also working in Harry Potter in the Wizarding World, and then another one wasn't. I think it was 3. And so they're like, all right, so we're gonna do this thing where like we stand like here, here, and here, and we have to name like characters in the Wizarding World, and the first one to not like to keep going. So like if you couldn't name a name in under like 5 seconds, then you were out. And so we went through the line, everyone's like Harry Potter, Hermione, Ron, and I think I said like Dobby, or I think I said creature, and everyone's like, what? And then I was like Neville Longbottom, and everyone was like freaking out, and I'm like, that's not a rare character, guys, it's Neville. And I did it like that. It wasn't hard for me. And so I won, obviously. And I won this Voldemort keychain. Actually, they're like, here you go. And it was so funny because like I don't consider myself Death Eater at all. Like I know a lot of people like to wear like the dark marks and stuff, but I'm just like, no way. I'm definitely like Hogwarts or like Bo-Katan. I don't want to be associated with the dark stuff. But so they gave me this like Voldemort keychain as a winning prize, and everyone just laughed because they're like, ha, we were right about you. You're a nerd. I'm like, yes, I am. Really awesome. And then I went to work at Dervish & Bangs, which is great. I had awesome trainers over there, and by like the time I knew it, I was approved and like working, and I'm like, this was like so weird. So I know a lot of you guys who have watched my other videos were like, please just talk about it, like tell us how we can work there too. And I think that's really awesome that you guys want to work there. That's like an amazing thing. But just remember, like, it helps if you live in Orlando, but I also don't think you should uproot your life to come down here. I mean, maybe for a couple months, but like you can't live in an apartment by yourself in the pay that they give you. Unfortunately, it's entry-level wage. Okay, it's above minimum, but it's entry-level. And so to uproot your life just to work here, you're gonna have great experiences, like no lie about that. But if you're coming for the money, don't stay where you're making actual money, because like you do make money. I was fine, but I also had 3 other roommates while I was working there, so like that tells you something. All in all, like I would not trade that for the world, and I want to go work there again, to be honest. TBH, if they'll have me back, I love it. I still have to wait like I think a year between the time that I quit to the time that I reapply again. Year's in November, so we'll see if I go back. I don't know. I really want to. I loved it there. It was magical. It was really magical. Okay, so another thing that you guys have been asking me as well is if you live, like, if you're not a US citizen, or if you don't have a visa or whatever to work in the States, can you still come and work here? Like, do they have like a college program, like an ICP, international college program like Disney does? The answer, as far as I know, is no, unfortunately. I believe you need to be a US citizen or have like US eligibility to work type of deal. I don't believe that they issue visas to people. I don't believe that they have a program that lets people come down to work. I don't think that's a thing. I might be wrong, but from what I've experienced, it's not a thing, unfortunately. All I can recommend doing is coming to visit when you can. And if you guys live in the UK, there's also the Harry Potter studios over there, which would be a lot of fun to work. Sign me up. I'm in. If you want to send me over there to work, that'd be great. Another question I got asked was, is there an age limit to work there? How young can you be? The youngest person that I worked with was, I believe, 17. Youngest you can be is 16. However, they don't normally hire people unless you're 18 or above. And the reason that they will hire the 16, 17s is because they do have like a thing with the local high school that's like right across the street. And I believe that was where my coworker went. They can get out of school early and then come to work, which if you think about it, like how cool is that to go to high school? Like literally from this high school, you can see Hogwarts Castle. It's really, really cool. And you just leave school early and then go to work at Harry Potter World. Like that's really, really cool. So that is an option. If you guys are local to Orlando, look into it. I'm not sure the specifics about it, but I do know if you're a minor, so if you're under 18, you have like a little on your name tag, not that I'm wearing mine, but you have a little line underneath your name to signify that you're a minor, because they have to take other precautions, like making sure you get extra breaks and stuff like that, which is totally good. I'm really glad that they do that. But as far as I know, like the majority, you need to be 18 plus. So it's good to know for you guys who want to work. And there's also no age like maximum. Someone asked me that the other day, and I'm like, no, there's no age maximum. And I get where they were coming from. A Hogwarts student, like if they're wearing Gryffindor robes, would need to be young. I mean, I guess, but most of the older people that work in the castle have just been in detention for a really long time. An old age spell went wrong. You know, it happens sometimes. So I think that's everything. I think I answered everything you guys wanted me to answer. If I didn't, please leave your questions below. If I don't answer them, generally it's because I can't. I haven't answered a couple of your guys' questions, and I've gotten a couple of those questions again, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't talk about it because that's going a little bit too into it, and this is supposed to be magical and stuff, and I do want to maintain my eligibility to work there again, just in case. So I'm not going to ruin anything for me or you. So if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, please do so. It helps me out a ton, and I love making new friends. It means a lot. And thank you for so much love on that video. My experience working at Harry Potter World, it has over 100, I think we're at 170,000 views on it, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I much appreciate it. So I'll see you guys in my next video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.